Hello, lovely. My name is Charlon, and I'm the hands and the heart behind Potent Women. I heard the news yesterday about Notre Dame, and you know that one of the roles that I play is I call stand in the stream of demonstration. And I noticed myself read those headlines and read about people's reactions to the burning of the cathedral. And interestingly, my mind went right to, I want to go to YouTube and listen to what other readers are saying about the larger picture. Because I had a sense of it for myself, and what's funny is it didn't even occur to me to record a video and to bring through the illuminated messages myself. And that's a very interesting thing. So as I stand in the stream of demonstration, this is what it looks like to change a pattern. So instead of waiting for someone else to record a video, to bring in information that we're needing, to illuminate what this was about, what this was really about, because nothing is about the obvious. This 800-year-old cathedral burning, it has to have much more relevance to these times because it happened, and it happened now. So I was noticing my impulse to defer to someone else to interpret these events for me instead of me just doing my own reading. And I've been sitting on that for months. I've had the impulse to begin doing intuitive readings, which I have no idea why or how that will play into Potent Women. It seems that it's an offshoot. But because it's been prominent and I haven't acted on it, the moment for doing that is now. And that it just tied into this other experience I was having. I'm just hitting the record button and I'm showing you what it looks like to not have much experience recording video, to just step into the stream of the information that wants to come through. It always needs a vessel. And in this moment, for this message, I am saying, I will be that voice. I will be that messenger. And for you, it's going to be other things. So I would point you to those things within your life that have been returning to your realm of awareness. They return again and again and again. And for whatever reason, you keep pushing them to the background. And maybe you have excuses or maybe you have legitimate reasons. But either way, it's our moment to step forward with action. That has been the most prominent message coming through for the last, I would say, 3 to 6 months. Enact these ideas, bring them into physical form. And we've been indoctrinated to want proof. That's another prominent message that I am finding is threaded throughout everything I'm doing. We still seek proof. We still seek approval, where the only approval comes from ourselves. It's permission to try. It's permission to try and some people would say fail, and I'm not even on board with that idea. If you try, you try. We don't know what's on the other side of trying because we stop ourselves before we take one step forward. So getting back to Notre Dame, I saw the news and I'm a person who naturally wants to pull back the curtain. And it's part of my curiosity and it's probably part of my gift because I go there first. I want to know what's behind. I want to know the true significance of events and circumstance. I want to know the person behind the mask. So I'm always leaning in. So when I heard this, I was driving and I thought, isn't that interesting? Notre Dame, 800 years, through many wars. And now all of a sudden, the spires are on fire. That's no accident. So what I'm going to be doing is I have, and I'm going to start shuffling, pulled out two of my decks. They're oracle decks. They aren't tarot. And the first one is my Magdalene Oracle that I purchased when I was in Glastonbury. And there was something about being at the Chalice Well and these particular cards being blessed. The Magdalene was so strong there, and I had an experience that was so moving. And so when I pick up these cards, I'm transported back to that geography where so many Druidic rituals were performed. Druidic and feminine. So that's the first oracle deck. And then I'm also using the Water Crystal Oracle deck that was inspired by Masaru, Dr. Emoto, Masaru Emoto. And these are strictly, I don't know if you've seen them, but there's a word on each card. So as an example, spring, resonance, and on the other side there is, so for each word there is a crystal. So here's one. And that's the crystal for the word happy. So there is a word assigned to each of these images, and the image was captured after infusing that word into the water that was then frozen, and then a photograph was taken. So I'm going to put down the camera and see what we get. I'm going to use the Magdalene Oracle first. And this relates to Notre Dame Cathedral and any information that wants to be known now about that event and why now. And I'm purely an intuitive reader, so the cards just help my being kind of step out of my body, my personality, and so I'll read you the words on the cards. We have co-creation. We have the Matrix, Magdalene, crucifixion, purgatory, sacred sexuality, perception, and divine order. So this event very much feels that there was a leading up to this event. That this event had to be prominent enough to get the attention of people who have seen this building and become so accustomed to it being there and will be there forever, essentially, that they don't notice it anymore. And all of us have experienced that. You place something in your home, say a piece of art, and the first few days you walk by and you notice it and you admire it, and then a very short time later you don't even notice it anymore. And so the spire was a symbol, but it was a symbol of something at one time in history. And culture and society have changed so much that the original message, which I get, is like a double-edged sword. The message at one time, there was a heart-based intent and a purity to it. And then as religion became much more organized and was threaded through culture, it darkened. The purity of its original intent changed to align with man's agenda. And then I'm getting the imagery of a spiral. It spiraled down. It spiraled down into the lower world to perpetuate a lower world agenda. And so it wasn't, it lost its pure essence. And that spire pointing to God, it's like all the things that came originally, I'm referring to the purity of worshiping a divine entity long before the building was created. Because when the building was created, there was already this distortion. So there was this clear pointer to a purity and godliness and godlikeness. And we've come so far from that the spire, the message of the pointing, the returning, the arrow returning us to the message of unconditional love has been lost. It's not being lived anymore. And so that original symbol of pointing to God, it's being brought down intentionally so that people can remember and remember themselves to a higher purity. And that higher purity being unconditional love. I have the Magdalene card here. And this card represents the return to the divine feminine, the energies that are evoking a return to these fierce feminine qualities. But not just the fierce feminine, the balanced feminine. The feminine who follows her wisdom. The feminine who knows when to protect her little cubs, where a mauling will ensue because it's her nature to protect what's hers. And that's balanced with the gracious elements, the receptivity, the kindness, the feminine flow. So the Magdalene here is very much present and an active part of having orchestrated, is the way they're saying it. She orchestrated this fire. And it reminds me of the goddess Kali. Kali Ma, Kali Mata. She's known by different names. And my favorite thing about Kali Mata is her fury. She is the bearer of fire, and she will alight anything that lacks integrity and honor. And she's fine. She is at peace with allowing the dross to burn, be it a spire in Paris or the inner landscape in your world. She guides this and she trusts it. And this crucifixion card, it's no accident that this event happened during Holy Week, as we are in that portal between Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. This is a transformative time for all of us. If we look at the season in the Northern Hemisphere of spring, spring has clearly sprung. As we look around to all the buds on the trees and the bulbs in the ground bursting through, ready to be bathed by the sun. 3 months ago, if this event had happened, it would not have had the same impact. The moment for this event was now. And it puts a smile on my face because I've struggled with the idea throughout my life of divine timing, thinking that was an excuse people used to not take action, to not move forward, to not have the courage to trust the unseen and the unknown. And I've been quite humbled to come to a blessed understanding that there is a guiding force, and the name of that is, one of the names is divine timing. So crucifixion is about being willing to sacrifice those historic structures, those internal structures of ours. Willingly, it's saying, crucify me so that I can emerge in a brand new way. And I'm going to put the camera up for a moment. I feel a sermon coming on. We can't emerge if we are bogged down by old patterns, by the noise in our heads, by the messages that swirl and say, you aren't good enough. Your love doesn't matter. How dare you? Who do you think you are? We all have these messages. And whatever your particular messages are, probably you grew up hearing them and they were indoctrinated. They're simply not true. And that doesn't mean that shifting them is simple. But when you begin with the premise that that thing is not true, that thought that I allow to come in and do whatever it wants with my being, to wag me around until it decides it has reinforced that message long enough to where I'll pick it up yet again, thinking that's true, and then retreating. It's not our time. All of that begs to be crucified, to be buried. Whatever your language is, whatever your expression is for that, put it on the cross if that's part of your belief system, your spirituality, and if it has a religious value in your world. Give it up to God. bury it, perform sacred ceremony that includes fire or water, earth, air. It doesn't matter the ritual. It is that you're catching the clues when these messages come in that is not truth. And certainly it's not your truth any longer. It doesn't have to be. So there is a lot that is being burned up and that is being requested of us. Maybe it's just ourselves. As I move along in life, I'm realizing I'm saying a lot, how do I know that's true? I've heard it all of my life, or I adopted it at some point along my spiritual journey, but how do I know that's really true? And invariably, and 100%, I can't know that anything that is a thought from, oh, I know that's not true, but what is true? I haven't filled in that blank yet. What is true? What is an absolute? What is my truth? So whatever is being beckoned at this point, whatever you're being drawn toward to let go, let go. Let go of the grasp. Have a momentary, embrace a momentary clarity that whatever this is has served its purpose. You're a new being emerging. It's time. So let's go back down to the cards. I get purgatory. Purgatory. Fire is a great transformational tool. And there was a specific purpose for fire claiming Notre Dame. It is the fires of hell that will transform humanity. As each of us offers those aspects of ourselves that we are ready to have transmuted and to be transmuted, because we play an active role in this process. It isn't just a matter of God's hand sweeping into our lives and eliminating these areas that are holding us down or holding us back. There is a certain level of relinquishing and investment of offering that's, I feel, required. Now, whether I don't know that that's true. Here we go again. But that's what feels true in terms of articulating this in this moment. A desire to experience what's on the other side of having willingly let go. So many of us have been through the fires of hell, the portals of transformation, and it's been very difficult. And it has been repetitive, hasn't it? Can you relate to that? Just when you think you can sit back for a minute and catch your breath, there is either a repeating pattern or a repeating pattern from a new angle where you say, well, not today. Rest will not be mine today. There's more to do. And you want to do that. You want to play an active role in your transformation, because that's where the empowerment comes. It's not something, I'm giving the imagery of the lottery, where you have had no money, the lottery comes in, changes your life, and that's great if it happens that way. But there is something about having made an investment and doing that consistently and conscientiously and expanding yourself all along the way, that allows you to say, I worked for that. This is hard earned. I have this because of that. Because of my investment in myself, because I see myself as that valuable. So we've done the work. Notre Dame has done its work. Its original purpose has been, in that specific form, has been fulfilled. And now there is a new vision. There is a new purpose. And the parallels to us in our spiritual journey is the same. We're being born anew. There's something purposeful for us on the other side of the burning. This card of perception is very intriguing to me. I've noticed in life that if there are 10 people perceiving a singular event, there will be 10 individual perceptions. I was overhearing someone describe an event the other day and saying it was traumatic. And my experience of the event was not that at all. So the message coming through right now is that by a shift of perception, worlds can change. And the value of that message is to put that awareness into your toolkit right now, your skill set right now, that by a slight step to the left or the right, your perception can be completely different. And I'm not talking about spiritual bypass. I'm not talking about sprinkling glitter on poop because you don't want to see the raw truth of something. I think it's very valuable to be able to look at something honestly and to stare it down and look straight into it and say, wow, not my first choice. Not exactly how I saw this coming down, but this is what it is. So I want to make the distinction between magical thinking and shifting your perspective, your perception, which is ultimately changing your perspective. And this co-creation card, I'm so loving that there's an energy coming from this corner here. Co-creation. That we are stepping into a time because of all of the processing we've done, because of all the transformation that we've been an active part in and that we've allowed to happen. Co-creation is where we are with the divine. And the divine no longer being an external, outside of us energy. It is just like DNA helix. It is intertwined in who we are and who we are becoming, because this is a process. So we are co-creators of events more so than we ever have been before. And this Notre Dame fire was a collaborative co-creation of such significance. This event has great import to those of us, to all of us, but especially those of us, and I envision a perimeter. We're on the perimeter holding the sacredness of this event. We are saying, oh, I understand. And it doesn't mean there isn't sadness. It doesn't mean there aren't tears. It doesn't mean that there isn't in France, that there isn't a mourning and grief, because there will be that, and all over the world. This isn't about saying, oh, well, it just happened, and there's a bigger, I'm a master at that. Just keep moving, just keep marching. No, let's take a moment. Let's hold this like we would a crying baby. Bringing comfort. And holding the vision of an expanded awareness that this was not an accident. This didn't, if you believe that God created this universe, that somehow this event caught God off guard. It didn't. This is not a surprise in the universe. This is a blessed event to bring our focus to a building that represents so much more. And the rebuilding of it, there will be so much love and thought and intent, which is such a beautiful thing. And then the last card here that is intriguing, that I will want to go into more deeply: sacred sexuality. That spire was phallic, needless to say. Let me just set that here. I believe this event also signifies the reincorporation of the feminine aspects and qualities. And that the feminine will continue to rise. She will continue to voice. She will continue to open the pathway to our future. And so the symbolism of the masculine, the dominant, commandeering, controlling aspects of both the masculine and feminine, all of the distortions of each, all of that is coming into a time of beautiful balance, of beautiful harmony. So to sum up sacred sexuality, to me this very much represents a brand new something, brand new expression, brand new, it includes a ways of being as the masculine and feminine within each of us is brought to a place of harmony, that will play out in the physical world in ways that the earth hasn't experienced before, is what's coming through. And that not only, I'm intrigued by sacred sexuality, just the words, because it's feeling that it represents something other than a literal interpretation of that word the term frequency and the obvious. But it's very hopeful. It feels really open. It feels very exciting in terms of us being able to live lives on the other side of there having been so much of the distorted masculine and feminine in the world. So we are truly at the dawn of a brand new experience within ourselves and in the external world. And I'm just going to hold these cards. That message feels very complete to me. So I'm going to leave the water crystal oracle cards for another time. And say thank you for sitting with me and sharing this time. I hope this was illuminating and planted yet another seed of where it is that you can become even more potent. I know by taking the action today to bring this message through, this was my act of potency today. This is me moving beyond my realm of comfort and familiarity into the newest, best, most illuminated version of myself. Make it a blessed day.